Hi, so in this video, I hope to show that. So in my paper, according to Turnitin, according to the OSI complaint, it stated that Turnitin claimed that 28% of my paper was likely to be AI generated. Um, in this video, I hope to disprove that by showing that these AI detection softwares are unreliable. So, and this is actually a very common phenomenon happening right now. And so let's dive into the research. So first source is that the University of Pittsburgh states that so previously Turnitin claimed that their tool was 98% accurate or something like that, and that the false positive and meaning that the false positive rate should be about 2% or something like that. So as of June 2023, we're I'm not sharing my screen. Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. So this is from the University of Pittsburgh. Here's the link if you want to look at it on your own time. Yep. So yeah. So as of June 2023, there have been two developments. First, Turnitin has publicly acknowledged that its AI detection tool has a higher false positive rate than the company originally asserted. So it originally asserted, I believe, like 98% accurate, so meaning that the false positive rate should be about 2%. So it's much higher than that now. And then but they haven't disclosed what this rate is yet. And I guess there's some other update or whatever. But according to this, so they're stating that now the false positive rate for Turnitin.com, which is a tool used to flag my paper, has a higher false positive rate than it was originally estimated as. And then so many of these parties, so a lot of these tools are claiming 98% accuracy. However, when evaluated by third parties, these tools have a high rate of false positives and and so what this is saying is that with false positives, it's very these tools they essentially these claims are essentially false, and based on independent testing. um so and they also tested the software as well, and based on this testing, their false positive rate is much higher than originally estimated. Here's another study that we're going to look at. So yeah, let me just refresh that. Okay. So University of Maryland finds that it's impossible to reliably detect AI generated text. Um, it's and then apparently they reference the study showing that it's biased against non-English speakers. Um, so through empirical analysis, University of Maryland scholars looked at several popular AI detection models on the market and found them to be unreliable. And then it just goes into more information about it. But the bottom line is that these detection softwares are unreliable. Here's a study done by Stanford University stating that GPT detectors are biased against non-native English writers. So essentially people who aren't good at writing. I'll admit that I'm not the best writer. Um, but yeah, so they're talking about how so essentially they have a bunch of statistics in here and a bunch of references in here regarding this, and but the bottom line is that these detectors are very they're biased, and based on the research, I found that if if your sentences are very like robotic sounding, use words like data and stuff like that, it could be construed your paper could be misconstrued as being AI generated. I chose to write my paper based off of AI combat robots. So there's going to be a lot of words like data, AI, autonomous, stuff like that. Keywords that they look for when they are looking for AI. But the bottom line is that these detectors are unreliable. So even though my paper was written by a human, myself, I wrote the paper by myself without any AI aid or anything like that. But it still flagged me because I used certain words. And some of the sentence structure was very like similar and stuff like that. So, but yeah, so now I'm going to go into another research paper. And this research paper, I can probably try downloading it. I don't want to download it. Yeah, so here's a research paper itself, and it's pretty long and lengthy. But if you go back here, it just tells you that in this paper, we both empirically and theoretically show that AI text detectors are not reliable in practical scenarios. And they show a bunch of other things. And so, yeah, it shows that these detectors are not very reliable. And this is a study done. It looks like it's done at Cornell University, based off of right here, if you can see the mouse. Now here's a study done by University of Maryland on AI detection softwares. And it shows that current detectors are not reliable in certain scenarios. It asks a rhetorical question stating, can these detectors reliably identify AI generated contents? The short answer is no. At least not now, but it's no. Nevertheless, it's no. And these are all very recent studies too. Like this is May 30th, it's like 2 months ago. So these are all very like, you know, and these are all done by, universities and people who are actually doing research on these topics. And so essentially that, and Turnitin even admits that false positives are are common as well. Even if the false positive rate were 1%, that means one out of in that class, there are, I'd say, about 300 students. That means for every assignment, there are going to be 3 false positives for students. And then now we multiply that by, I believe there are about 8 assignments or something like that for the class. So multiply that, so there'll be 24 students who are false positives. So I'm a false positive because I wrote that paper, and I even showed in my Google Doc that my paper developed normally. And so there's a whole slew of research showing that these AI detection softwares are unreliable. So that 28%, it's not a very accurate number. It is a number that was conjured up by some software that isn't really reliable. Even Turnitin.com states that yes, they have false positives, so they shouldn't solely rely on that number. Now, the only thing that really substantiates AI is that number. We don't really have any other real strong concrete evidence that proves that I wrote it using AI. So based off of this evidence, I've shown that number 28% AI generated is not accurate. In my next video, I'm going to talk about my sources.